you wanna row, row, row your own boat down the river, the paddle principles will deliver. Welcome to Row Your Own Boat now with your host, Barbara Scott.
Welcome back to another insightful episode of Row Your Own Boat Now. Today, we are honored to have Michele Vaughn as our guest and esteemed advocate for health, well-being, and weight loss. Michele has 32 years of experience in this industry. She is currently on the faculty of the College of Marin, and in the fitness area, she has actually starred in 5 fitness videos, as well as has owned 5 Pilates and fitness studios in the Bay Area. Michele's passion lies in empowering individuals to take charge of their health and make transformative changes in their lives. In this episode, we'll explore the significance of accountability, paddle number 2, and how it plays a vital role in achieving a healthy life and a successful weight loss journey. Michele, thank you for joining us today. Could you share with us a little bit about your journey and what inspired you to become an advocate for health, well-being, and weight loss?
Yes, I'd love to. Thank you, Barbara, for inviting me on your podcast. It's really exciting to share some time with you. And, we've casually had conversations, so it's really nice to be on this podcast with you. So my background is, my stories, it goes like this. I grew up in a really large family back on the East Coast, and my father did not tolerate being fat. So we had a fat phobic family. And as a young child, I had a little tummy like most children do, but he criticized me nonstop. And I ended up developing really poor self-esteem, no self-confidence. I was constantly worried about how I looked, and I was plagued with feelings of depression, sadness. I compared myself to other people. And now remember, this is at a very early age, much younger than any woman especially should be comparing ourselves to other people. And then it started this long journey. I had an eating disorder. I developed full-on depression. I used alcohol and drugs to try to, suppress my feelings. And as time marched on, I was feeling more hopeless. And the interesting part about this is that I was a dancer. I started dancing at the age of 3. So that really
added to your repertoire there.
Yeah, really compounded this situation because, as dancers, you're supposed to be really skinny. And I wasn't tall and thin. I was short and muscular, and I still am short and muscular. So you add those two together and you get a complete nightmare, right? I was bulimic for 22 years, and I was a professional dancer and choreographer. I can't even express the amount of emotions that went through my body and brain 24/7. I was preoccupied with food, with low self-esteem, with other people, how I looked, what clothes I had. So I wouldn't go to the beach. I wouldn't go to the swimming pool. I wouldn't go into the dressing room with any of my friends. I was completely ashamed of my body. And I finally, I started to see therapists, and I finally hit bottom, is what I say. I hit bottom, and I thought, this is insane. I've had enough. And I started to get interested in health and wellness in the appropriate way. I had gotten my Bachelor of Fine Arts in dance, and then 10 years later, I went back and got my master's in science. And I think that's really when things started to shift for me, because I just had enough of living this depressed, horrible lifestyle. And once I got my master's degree and really started to learn how the body works, anatomy, physiology, I became really interested in a healthy lifestyle. So I graduated with my master's degree and I continued dancing, but because I was armed with actual scientific knowledge, I became interested in getting a coach. And then I got a coach who helped me realize that I wasn't all these things that my father said I was, right? I was a whole,
all those things you have to unlearn,
I had
right?
to unlearn them. Yes. And that took a while. I'm not going to lie. The journey has been long. It's been hard, but it's been worth it. And I'll never forget the time one of my friends said to me when I was feeling really low about, the journey. And she said, you never know, God or the universe is putting you through this so that you can help other women. And I can't tell you, Barbara, how that sparked me, because I love to help other people. And that kind of pushed me into the next level. And since then, I have just become a complete advocate for healthy lifestyle, healthy eating, making peace with our bodies. Like, I never had peace with my body. I always wanted somebody else's. And we know that we can't do that. We can't buy another body. And
Despite that people going and trying to do that sometimes today, right? But they, to do all of this, plastic surgery and, different things like that, which is terrible. But, so I can certainly, tell that the thing is, since we've been, working together, I know that you are, the catalyst and you can help close the gap. You talk about it took you a really long time to get here, but I feel like that, the things that you've already taught me, that when we work together, is, the bridge that allows me not to have to go down into that hole that you went down into, and really, allows me to just accept where I'm at and just start doing the things that will, get me to where I want to go, and as fast or as slow as I choose to go. And I think that lack, this non-judgment that I feel with you and working with you is just, part of the pleasure. Because I mean, you've been there, the how we put our own selves through all of this pain, and we judge ourselves more harshly than anyone else ever judges us anyway. So I think that being so supportive is, really helpful. And so this kind of leads to my second question is, on this, Row Your Own Boat Now podcast, we typically talk about the paddle principles, which were, the having your paddles to get you down the river of life. And, one of the challenging things about, weight loss for me personally, I've been up and down. It's like I've lost the same 50 pounds and gained it back, throughout my entire life, just up, and I'm at the top end now. So I'm glad that we got together so that I can get back down to my bottom end. But accountability is that paddle principle that I feel like is, really crucial here. And so how do you see that relating to health and weight loss? And why is it essential, do you feel like, in really achieving our goals in terms of our health and well-being?
Well, I think accountability is actually at the very top of any kind of human change, because humans are humans and we get distracted very easily. We have all sorts of things going, like we're all busy, right? And it's easy to set goals and then forget about them 2 weeks later because 5 other things have come across our plate. So I think accountability is essential in any kind of habit changing. And one of the things I really like to stress is I don't like quick fixes. They don't work. They've never worked for me and they've never worked for my clients. It's changing our habits. And once we learn to change our habits, you can change anything in your life. But the only way to change a habit is to have an accountability partner, however that is. That could be a coach, it could be a friend. I don't recommend a spouse because other emotional
I've tried that one before. And you don't have that spouse anymore.
Things get all mixed up. But it could be a coach, it could be a therapist, it could be a group, it could be a friend, someone that will hold us accountable so that we keep moving forward. And sometimes, you move 2 steps forward, 1 step back. That's life. But that's still a win because you got 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And
still making progress.
You bring, progress. It's progress. And I think it's really important that what you brought up, Barbara, about non-judgment, because you have to find an accountability partner that's not going to judge you, because that adds a whole other layer of emotional stuff on top.
A bunch of garbage there. I for myself, even, and even whether you're in business or whether you are in anything you're trying to accomplish, it requires consistency. And I think that many people, including myself, sometimes struggle with that consistency in terms of health and weight loss. And so, is there any tips or tricks that you offer or how individuals can actually hold themselves accountable, in some ways, in this space?
Well, yes. I think that one is mindset. We have to have a mindset of change, and we have to have a vision. Like, my first thing that I teach my clients is you have to have a vision, because if you don't have a vision, then you're going to be going down all these different roads instead of going straight. So the vision is, okay, where do you want your life to be in 1 year from now? How do you want to feel? What do you want to be doing? And then I really encourage them to keep that front and center, whether it's with a vision board or whether it's with mind movies or whatever works for you, journaling, anything to keep it, those intentions front and center, because as I said, we get distracted really easily. So there are some people that can do it themselves, but rarely, very few people do I know that can stay on course, no matter what course it is, by themselves. We all need a community to help us kind of move forward.
Yeah, exactly. Because that actually answers one of the questions that I had here was, because how can individuals create their support system, to hold them accountable throughout the, health and weight loss journey? Because, while they're going to be working with a coach, hopefully, or a mentor of some sort, sometimes we feel like, okay, well, I need to get to a place where I'm doing it on my own, or I don't have, the time to always reach out to a coach, but I don't want to have to go to a meeting per se, and address it.
Right. No, well, and that's true. And if you look at, all the different diet programs and apps, there are Noom, there's all sorts of things for any kind of budget. But I still haven't seen one that works that's permanent. And, my program is called the Permanent Wellness Fix, because it actually is detrimental to gain weight, lose weight, or try to change any habit in our life, fall backwards, change it, fall backwards, because we start to feel worse about ourselves, like we're losers. Oh my God, I can't do this. So I think an accountability partner, coach, mentor, whatever you want to call it, that will keep you in line, reminding you of your intentions. And I think we learn consistency. I mean, I always use this as an example. We all get up, hopefully, in the morning, brush our teeth, go to the bathroom, make coffee, right? We don't even think about it. Like, we're just on automatic pilot. We know how to drive to work. We know how to get dressed in the morning. Well, that's the exact same neuro pathways that we all want to develop in our brain, right? That's all automatic right up here. And we can do that. We can do that with all the habits in our life, with our food. I used to obsess about what I was going to eat for breakfast, what I was going to eat for lunch. I don't ever think about it. I don't ever think about it again, because I finally made peace with food. I used to obsess about what I looked like, what clothes I had on. I don't think about it ever. I don't think about it, because
it's freedom. Isn't that just true freedom?
It's freedom. But my point is that I was able to change those same neural pathways in my brain so that they're on automatic now. And we all can do that. And
that's through that consistency, right?
Yes.
Through that holding yourself accountable. So I'm as guilty of this probably as anyone about, my time, and like saying, well, I don't really have time. And so I don't hold myself accountable to do it because, I've got to do something else or whatever. So how do you, how do you teach your clients, to do better, and hold themselves accountable to doing it in the same 24 hours that Beyonce and Lady Gaga have, so.
Okay, well, time management is definitely the first thing I have my clients do is they have a time inventory sheet that they have to fill out for a week, because we all spend a half hour in line at Starbucks. We're all on social media. We check our emails too many times a day. There is time. There definitely is time. And so I have people set up a time management, but I want to backtrack because it's so much more important than just the surface. I always say to my clients, if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. Like if you don't have your health, you don't have, I don't care how much money you have. I don't care what kind of car you drive. I don't care your job. If you don't have your
Steve
health,
Jobs is a good example of that, right? I mean, he had all this money, and all this intelligence and everything, but
right.
until when his health failed him, then, you'd have nothing.
You
It
have
doesn't matter
nothing.
how much money you have.
You can't go to Target and buy a new body. And then I will say, do you want to see your grandchildren graduate from high school and college? Or do you want to play with your grandchildren on the grass? Do you want to go to the, what is in your future? Like, what do you have to lose? If you don't get healthy, if you don't take care of your body and the food you put into it, these are the things that you're going to lose in your life. And that kind of emotional thing I can bring back to people, because all of a sudden it makes it real that, oh my God, I'm 60 years old. My grandkids are 4 and I'm not going to be able to see, I've got type 2 diabetes and I have cancer, right? Or I have heart disease and I have high blood pressure.
Mm-hmm.
It's that's real.
Things,
that's reality.
Yeah,
and
there's so many conversations we could spawn off of that one around how just being healthy changes everything. It truly changes. It changes your family too, right? When you're healthy, your family's not burdened. All of those things. So, so far, I wanted to ask you about. Do you have any? I mean, I'm sure you have tons of them, but off of the top of your head, do you have any situations where someone that's been a client of yours, because of their switch in becoming accountable, has really created a success story for them?
I have a lot of them. The first one that comes to the top of my head is I had a woman who started taking my classes during COVID on Zoom. She was extremely overweight. And over the past 3.5 years, she's lost 75 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she takes 2 to 3 classes a day still, which is, a little overboard.
Her life has completely changed.
But her life's completely changed. And her son, who is 17 or 18, he was obese as well. And because she changed, he changed. So now they go to the gym together. Now they eat healthy. The rest of their family still has huge obesity issues, but I always say attraction rather than promotion. If you keep, they'll start coming.
See the life that this person's able to live now as a result of losing that much weight. I mean, I know, like I said, from losing the same 50 pounds up and down, when I'm on the heavy end, there's a lot of things that you just don't have the desire, energy to do, that when you're on the lower end, it's like, hey, no problem. Let's go walk around the mall for 20 hours, and do things. Makes a big difference.
I'll have a client pick up a 25-pound dumbbell and say, okay, this is what you're carrying around all day long. If they're 25 pounds overweight, or if they're 50 pounds, you carry 2. This is what your body is carrying around all day long. And that's another one that kind of hits them.
Yeah. It's that reality, reality moment. So yeah, definitely during COVID, then I can see where she really had to make herself accountable, because there was nobody coming to her house, nobody, no place that she had to go or be. She had to really take accountability. That's awesome. So that's that paddle. She really took herself down the road to a whole new place on
Yes,
the
because
river.
she could have done the reverse, which I think a lot of people did. We were in lockdown and all they did was eat, right? I know a lot of people that gained a lot of weight during COVID because they were uncomfortable, they were stressed, they're locked in. But
She did the opposite.
reverse,
Yeah.
and I think that's really impressive.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So for those who've tried, various various approaches, like, like I know that was it the keto, there's what was it, the cabbage diet, now people are using the Ozempic or whatever, some, so those drugs and things that are happening. But, I know that there's a natural way to do it. You've proven that there's a healthy way to do it. You prove that every day. So what actionable tips can you offer our listeners and viewers to embrace accountability so that they can embark on their own healthful journey?
Well, let me just tell the listeners this, that I've been on every single diet there is. The grapefruit diet, Pritikin, Atkins, Weight Watchers, Zone, every single diet. And so I can tell you that that's not the way to go. And the diet industry is $1 billion industry. So you got to keep that in mind. But one of the first things that I really, to me, the most important thing is to get off processed foods. And you can do it one processed food at a time. Like, I don't say go cold turkey off processed foods, but the goal is to eat whole, real food that comes from the ground that is not processed, because there's so many chemicals, and these food companies have figured out how we'll eat 2 bags of chips instead of 1 because they get our brains addicted to the chemicals, the fat, sugar, and salt that is in all of these processed foods. We get addicted to it, and it's really hard.
Yeah, guilty, right? That's the problem. Guilty of that.
So if you can stop, eating processed foods, don't eat processed breakfast foods for a month. If you're successful, then don't eat breakfast and lunch processed foods. And I like to add, I did with you, Barbara, just start to add a piece of a fresh fruit every day. Just add 1 fresh fruit a day. And then the next week, add fresh vegetables. Just 1 a day. And start to get it, because we have to not only change the brain, but we have to, our taste buds. We have to change our taste buds because they're
used to that processed sugar.
They're addicted to this processed sugar. Absolutely. And so if you can do it a little bit, small steps. I think as Americans, we want everything yesterday. And that's one of our problems. We have to get back to a step at a time. And of course, no one wants to do it, myself included. I don't want to go a step at a time. I want to go a mile at a time.
Yeah.
But that's
everybody wants to get rich quick too. Like they want to be an entrepreneur and be rich tomorrow or whatever. Right. And they don't, want to put the work in, and it takes putting the work in. I know that, for my own self and, from the conversations that we had. So one last thing before we finally wrap it up is I heard something, and this is, I know a little off for, we hadn't talked about this, but they said that sitting is the new smoking. So, I know that we all need to get up and move a little. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. And it doesn't mean that you have to go do an hour of high intensity interval training workout. You don't have to go to CrossFit or Orange Theory. If you can get up and I think getting outside is really important, and walk around the house, start with 5 minutes a day, build up to 10 minutes a day, then 15 minutes a day. If you start walking, you're going to see a difference, not only in how you feel, but in your moods, because we all need to get outside and get fresh air.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. So I want to thank our viewers for joining us for this episode of Row Your Own Boat Now. Be sure to subscribe and stay tuned for additional enriching discussions with other folks about their paddle principles, and join us on your journey through life. Until next time, keep rowing with accountability, and may your path be filled with health, well-being, and successful weight loss endeavors.
If you wanna row, row, row your own boat down the river, the paddle principles will deliver.